Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua, and I'm here today to do an in-depth sniff and comparison review of two limited edition drops from Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company. We've got number 42 and number 33. Names TBD, apparently. But before we get into that, if you're new to Touch the Fire Twice, welcome. My mission here is to share my love and passion for fine home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enhancing the scent memories that you create. If you want to learn more about what I do, why I do it, how I do it, you can check out my website at TouchTheFireTwice.com and follow me over on Instagram at TouchTheFireTwice. But for now, let's dig into these two limited edition scents. So this is a new-ish thing that Bath & Body Works has been doing the past couple of years. So what was it? Fall of 2022, we had the weekly limited edition drops where we had the chocolate espresso martini, salted caramel pretzel, the Thanksgiving stuffing candle, the mashup of sweater weather and sweet cinnamon pumpkin. And then they did the spring 2023 limited edition drop, which were the ice cream candles. So of course the rosewater ivy mashup that was fake, the really nice peanut butter and jelly donut ice cream, and then the returning favorite of mint chocolate chip ice cream. In the fall of 2023, we had two drops. One was the Radiant Red Maple Return from back in 2015. It had hideous packaging, some of the worst packaging since like the Girl Power from, what was that, 2017, something like that, the bubblegum candle, just awful. The other thing that came out with that was the mashup, kind of awful, I think, actually, of Twisted Peppermint with Sweet Cinnamon Pumpkin. Just strange. I bought them, didn't review them. I wasn't, actively reviewing at the time, but was not a fan of that one at all. In fact, I think I bought two thinking I might love it and returned one of them because it just wasn't the moment for me. And then now in early 2024, we had the throwback drops come with the root beer float and the pink bubblegum, which brings us to this drop, which I'm intrigued by. It's different. It's kind of fun. It gets people involved. It's anyone who likes this, we're a marketer's dream because they're putting it out there, the mystery part of it, the limited part of it, the vote part of it. They're just like hitting all of the psyche of consumers, frankly. But it worked, obviously. I bought it, and maybe at least one of these I probably would not have purchased if it were just in a random collection. The other I would have. So let's get into that. We'll start with number 33. The aesthetic on this, pretty simple, pretty clean. It's not unlike some of their recent drops, either from their men's collection or the sort of midnight cocktails collection that they did last year. Not far off from the aesthetic of their neutrals line, which is super popular for the past couple of years. I think it's nice. It seems somewhat elevated, but what are we to smell here? So the notes on this one are espresso beans, warm vanilla, and lemon peel. And interestingly, if you go to the website, you'll get a little bit more, and the voting on the app to name what this candle will be in the future, if it comes back, who knows what that even means or looks like. The stories they give are a little bit different. So if you go to the website, it will say what it smells like. Your early morning pick-me-up with a bright, cheerful twist. Okay, doesn't give you a whole lot. If you go to the voting, either on the app or on the website, it says the vibe, sipping your latte al fresco by a beautiful lemon grove. Okay, that's a little bit closer to what it is. So all told, we're talking about a coffee or espresso, potentially vanilla, but more so lemon blend, lemon peel. Now, before I get my nose on this, what I will say is I did a little bit of research. This is fairly common actually in parts of Europe. It's often known as the espresso romano, where you'll do a shot of espresso, perhaps a little bit of sugar, and then either lemon peel or just lemon peel, sort of on the rim of the cup, and perhaps actually soaked in there as well. In Italy's Campania region, which is composed of the cities of Naples, Capri, and the Amalfi Coast, it's actually referred to as Caffè Canarino or Caffè a Limone. So we're talking coffee with lemon. And what I found online is that a lot of places claim to have originated it, but the actual origins of espresso with lemon or lemon peel is somewhat unknown. Some places claim it to be theirs, but it's one of those sort of things that probably was thought of in multiple places at multiple times in history. But they say when combining espresso and lemon, the sharpness and acidity of the lemon is balanced by the intensity and bitterness of the espresso. So you might think, oh, why would you put lemon in your coffee? It could make sense because certainly there are some citrus flavors in some beans and roasts of coffee. Now, all that to say, getting my nose on it, what do I think of it? I have burned it, by the way, post-burn review. I just burned it once, healthy burn, as is mostly common with Bath & Body Works these days. It's mostly just an earthy lemon to me. I get very little in the way of espresso, and there should be more. It should be 80% espresso, 20% citrus, or 80% espresso, 10, 15% citrus, and 5% vanilla. But I get If I didn't know there was espresso in this, I might pick it out, but it's like even less espresso than, say, the pink lavender and espresso, which is very, very close to lavender marshmallow. But even without knowing that there's espresso in pink lavender and espresso, I think most people that are candle aficionados would likely pick out a coffee angle to it or something nutty or warm. In this, even knowing and looking for the espresso, yeah, there's something there, but it is so heavily overtaken by the lemon. And it's not a sweet sugared lemon like you get with a lot of Bath & Body Works fragrances, your sugared lemon and all the various candied sort of lemons. It really is a clean, I guess, lemon peel, because it's not so much the juice, it more so is the lemon peel, but then that leans kind of cleaner, like your end dust spray or something like that, just the true essential oil from the lemon peel, the lemon rind. And so for me, I'm not a big fan of it. I only burned it once. Maybe I'll actually exchange it because I don't know that I need it for collection purposes. And it really just comes off as a variation on lemon and not a particularly exciting or enticing one. For me, there are two candles that I would say this is similar to, reminds me of a bit. One is back from 2018 when Bath & Body Works did the Natural Elements collection. If you remember those squat, opaque black glass containers that were 3 wicks, but they were flattened. Still 14.5 ounce, but they were wider and shorter. And that was just lemon, lime, and lemongrass. And in my review, which you can watch here from 6 years ago now, I said that it really felt more like an earthy, kind of dirty, natural lemon with actual dirt or just something more, for lack of a better term, natural to it. And that's sort of what I get here, where it could almost be that scent, or very, very close to it, at least the same type of lemon. And the other one that it reminds me a little bit is actually a Homeworks, which has been repackaged a few times, but originally was the lemon and laurel leaf, which was lemon, bay laurel leaf, yuzu, and honeyed grapefruit. For me, that also came across as just a very natural lemon, not sugared, not a lemonade, not the bright, zippy, airy, bergamot, or sugar crystals or effervescent citrus that you sometimes get, but more just citrus oil, straightforward, again, leaned a little cleaner, a little dull, a little earthy. Again, the bay laurel leaf that was in the Homeworks lemon and laurel. And this is quite similar to that as far as, it's fine. It's just a very standard kind of generic lemon, which lemon and espresso shouldn't be generic. That's quite unique for a candle. But I get very little, unless I'm nose blind to the espresso at this point, I don't get enough to make this worth keeping. So actually, yeah, I might exchange that. And interestingly, let's talk about the names that are going on for the voting. Also funny that on the voting page, they say the vibe is sipping your latte al fresco by a beautiful lemon grove. So they're not talking about actually putting the lemon peel in espresso, which would make more sense because that is an actual beverage that is consumed in Italy. Whatever. I just wish they would do the research and be a little bit more spot on authentic. It's like they get so close and then they call a macaron a macaroon. It's just not, the quality control is just not there on the authenticity and accuracy for me all the time. The names they're offering are affogato and lemon peel, lemon espresso twist, there you go, morning spring coffee, and springtime latte. All right, so affogato and lemon peel, that doesn't work for me because though they say warm vanilla, there's no sort of true milkiness, let alone affogato, which is ice cream or gelato with espresso poured over it. This is not dessert like that. This is lemon, maybe with some espresso. So for me, morning spring coffee, so generic, of course not. Springtime latte, not a latte. Lemon espresso twist, that is the closest to this, to what it, kind of smells like and what it, I believe, was likely blended based on. If we were to talk to the perfumer who created it, they would probably say, I took a wonderful trip to the Amalfi Coast and I had this espresso on the coast and it had lemon peel in it. I was so intrigued and so inspired. But instead, we might get this to be like, I don't know, a springtime latte. Anyhow, that's number 33. I voted, of course, why not? Lemon espresso twist, we'll see what happens. Then we move on to number 42. Now, what happened to numbers 1 through 32? What happened to numbers 34 through 41? I would love to know, is it just, two of the designer's lucky numbers? Where did they come up with that? Because I can't imagine this is, the 42nd in, their new scents for the season. Although, prove me wrong, I could be way off. This one, the notes on the bottom are simply sweet cream, fresh cinnamon, and vintage leather. If we look at the website, it says the description, what it smells like, sipping a warm beverage while exploring your favorite used bookstore. And then if you go to the voting on the app or the website, it says the vibe, indulging in a cinnamon dessert on a comfy leather couch. Okay, so somewhat similar, but sipping a beverage or having a dessert, a little bit different. Bookstore versus leather couch. It kind of shows you a little bit kind of behind the curtain as far as when they're writing the vibe or the copy or simply the marketing. It can really go in many directions. And we've seen that with Homework, we've seen that with many other candle companies as well, is are you actually eating a dessert on a comfy leather couch in a study or in a cafe deep in Paris? Or are you at a used bookstore in New England and you're sipping a beverage and you're smelling the leather in the books? Whatever story they want to evoke, they can go with because the notes lend themselves to that, which is fine. But hey, sell me one of them. Just don't sell me both of them, but whatever, it's fine. Again, super picky. What are you gonna do? But again, sweet cream, fresh cinnamon, and vintage leather. Smelling this one, I love this. I liked it when I sniffed it. Almost anything with cinnamon, I can be on board with, or potentially on board with. And when I lit this one, I loved it. Enough that I burned this, well, actually no, I didn't burn this one. I have one burning in my room right now. And I went back and bought 2 more of these today, simply because if it is truly limited and doesn't come back, I want it. And for me, I'll tell you what I think of it, and then I'll tell you 2 candles that I think it's actually quite similar to that I don't know that folks are making that connection. Because the marketing on this, again, cinnamon dessert, warm beverage, they're making you think more gourmand or foodie or something edible. And saying vintage leather, that can lean, men's collection, that can lean too heavy, that can lean barbershop, that can lean, I hate to use the word, but cologne-y. But it's not that for me at all. When I sniff this, it's potentially a holiday candle, at least like a cool weather candle, although I'm burning it now and I love it, and it's, we're talking mid-March. It's really well balanced between a bit of a, not just leather, but a smokiness, but like a very lightly charred, some sweet wood, or even charred smoked cinnamon, frankly. If they had some cinnamon sticks, Ceylon cinnamon sticks, that had a light char to them. Maybe some sort of sweet wood, maybe like a birch or something like that. Or of course, my favorite, cedar. It's got that angle to it, sort of a smoked wood with that cinnamon, and it's not necessarily an edible cinnamon, it's just a spiced, warm, comforting cinnamon. And as far as the sweet cream, there is a sweetness to this, but for me, if you have a really good quality cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and you just, tap it on your tongue, if it's high quality with enough essential oils of the true cinnamon in there, it actually tastes a little bit sweet naturally on its own without adding sugar to it. So you can get some sweetness from cinnamon. Obviously 3 notes, there's probably 8, 10 notes truly in here in these fragrances the way they're built. So there's things they're leaving out here. The leather, again, it is happily, it's not heavy. Some of the neutrals collections, what is it, like coffee and whiskey and then something and leather, not mahogany and leather, I forget what it is, but those can be very heavy on just like a synthetic over the top, like you're some cowboy leather. But this one, or trying to be like super mask of like, oh, executive in his armchair with a cigar, like blow that out, whatever, of wherever. But this leather is it's soft. And I wish almost they didn't use the word leather, because I think that there's more so a really pretty smoked wood in here, or aged wood. I just think it's so nice. And the 2 candles that it reminds me of, there's one, I don't have them with me to do a side by side. There was one candle from 2013 that was a one and done, never came back. And it was called Good Natured Christmas. Bit of a strange name. A lot of folks said that it really just smelled like a smokier version of either Winter Night from, Slack Canary 2011, 2012, or even like a bit of a play on Marshmallow Fireside, which they're not entirely wrong on that, but it does stand on its own. The notes on that one were creamy white birch, smoked vanilla bean, and hint of musk. So again, some of those notes could be interchangeable, or this could have a few of those and the cinnamon in it, but it had this vibe where it was a slightly smoky, but not choke you out, not full on incense, slightly smoked woods, but a sweetness. Think of your Marshmallow Fireside when you have the embers and you have that really sweet, borderline cloying, sugary stringiness of the marshmallow. This is in that family where it's not a gourmand so much as it is a sweeter, woodsy, spicy, I would say, fragrance with a hint of sweetness from whatever the sweet ingredient is. If you have this and if you didn't like it and you kept it, smell it with that in mind, more of think of your Marshmallow Firesides, if you knew Good Natured Christmas, or anything in that sort of woody, spiced, warming holiday blend, and you may change your mind. Because if you're thinking, I want this to be a sweet treat in a bookstore in New England, not really it for me, but maybe thinking of it with the other perspective will help you like it more. The other thing that this actually is in, I'd say the same family as, is quite a popular Homeworks fragrance that I loved when I was still purchasing Homeworks, and that's Crackling Fireside. Notes on that one: oak leaves, roasted apples, smoked cedar, and cinnamon stick. Again, not a dupe or even necessarily a sister scent, but very much that same family where you have either roasted or smoked wood and cinnamon. You know, the apples can come across sweet and almost creamy in a way because if they're really like a cooked down sweet apple. And so I think folks who like that sort of somewhat sweet, smoked, charred, but not choke you out or overwhelming spice blend, thanks to the cinnamon and maybe some little bit of clove in the background there. Again, I haven't watched enough reviews to know, like, is this a fan favorite or people love it to hate it? I feel like most of these are kind of mid for folks though. But thinking of it with that family in mind, or putting yourself into, you know, a late October burn, I think people may like it. And I really, really, really like it. I always liked Good Natured Christmas, or a year after it was gone, I kind of was like, oh, that was pretty good actually. It was unique enough. And this kind of hits that for me. I'd have to do a side by side to really see, but enough that it's worth having at $12.95, a couple of these in case it doesn't come back. Now, when we go to the voting on this, they say vintage vinyl and sweet cream, sweet vanilla vetiver, vintage memories, or vanilla musk and leather. So that also gives you a bit of a hint of some of the other notes that are likely in this candle. At least I would hope, if they're calling out vetiver and vanilla musk, that those are notes in it that they just aren't, you know, promoting in the name or the description. But it gives you a better sense of the fuller build of the fragrance. Across those names, frankly, none of them really work for me. I don't get enough vetiver to call out vanilla vetiver. I think that would be a good candle, but I don't get enough vetiver for that. Vintage memories, too generic. Vanilla musk and leather, again, the leather is not heavy enough for me, and I think of their, what was it, marshmallow musk or vanilla something musk that was out a few years ago. That was more of a true vanilla musk. Vanilla is in here, but it's like a smoked vanilla, and I get more woods, frankly, than leather or musk. Vintage vinyl and sweet cream, I don't like any of these names, frankly. I don't know, I might have voted for the vinyl and sweet, no, I don't even know what I did. They're all stupid. Sorry. I don't use such wide strokes to you know, describe things typically as stupid, but those are, to me, they're stupid. I'm sorry. Either way, I really do enjoy it. I would love to hear what everyone else thinks about these two. If you like the fun, the marketing of it, was it enough to get you to purchase them if you would not have normally? And actually, that's what I'd love to hear from everybody. If you purchase these, would you have purchased these if they were just in a random collection or in the neutrals collection with, you know, whatever one of these names they have in there, and not part of this limited edition numbered thing that you vote on, hitting all the marketing side of things? Would you purchase them? Because frankly, I would not have purchased the lemon, and I would have purchased the smoked cinnamon, as I'm gonna call it. So that is it for today. Let me know what you think, and until next time, take care.